Two, three. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pause for the Truth. I am Jocelyn Turner, your co-host, and I am super excited to be on tonight's show. And I have to give my disclaimer up front to everybody. I'm not a parent, but I still like talking about other people's children. And the beauty of talking about other people's children and is that you get to help other people deal with some of those challenges in life that they may not know how to navigate, or at least you can always learn new things. So tonight we have some very special guests, but before I introduce them, of course, I have to bring into the discussion our co-host, Dr. Rogers Kane. How are you doing this evening, Dr. Kane?
I am absolutely fine, Miss Turner, and I do have kids, but my youngest is 33,
She might
34.
not want you to tell her age, Dr. Kane. I mean,
They don't
watch
know
it.
who she is, and my oldest is 40 something. So I'm a parent, but I can't contribute to the problems of having young kids like maybe our guest can.
Well, fortunately, we do have two very distinguished guests who've both been on the show in the past. And we're always happy when we get people to come back on. Then that obviously means, Dr. Kane, that we have something worthy of talking about right on our show. So
Absolutely.
I would like to introduce to some and reintroduce and just let everybody toot her horn because she is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world and such a great champion for children. And that is none other than Betty Burney with the Amistar Foundation. How are you this evening, Miss Burney?
I am doing wonderful. And thank you all for having me. And hello, Dr. Kane, and hello, Dr. Mosley.
Hey, Miss Bernie.
Oh, and also one of my favorite people as well. You just stole my thunder. I was trying to wait till I get a chance to say it, but you knew you would beat me to the punch.
I know, right? Also, someone who is all Dr. Kane has to do is pick up the phone or text him and say, Dr. Mosley, we want to talk about BAM. And he's right there. So thank you so much, Dr. Jerome Mosley with Bridge Builders. Did I get it right?
Bridge Builders United.
Bridge Builders United, another champion for our children. I love educators, how they just don't get enough of children. Not only do they start with working with students in schools, but they said, you know what, I need to do more with these children. And they build these fabulous, fantastic programs outside of the school system because they see so much that needs to be done with our children. And these are two champions for our children, really trying to make a difference. Not trying, they are making a difference in the lives of children. Now, one thing that parents can always use is somebody to lend a hand, I think, right? Parents don't, I remember once when I was a big sister with big brothers and big sisters, I thought that I had so much that I could teach this young lady. OMG, did I learn a lot as a mentor, right? And so any mentor who thinks that, oh yeah, I'm going to teach my mentee so much, you are also going, it's a two-way street. You learn as much from children as you think you can teach them. Would either of you agree to that, Dr. Mosley or Miss Burney?
Most
Oh,
definitely.
yes. Yes.
You can attest to that, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So tonight, what we want to talk about is, it's the summer. I remember when I was in school, okay, Dr. Kane, no jokes. It was eons ago. But when I was in school, oh, I look forward to the last day of school. Oh my goodness, look forward to the last day of school and thinking, I'm going to do absolutely nothing. I just want to sleep late. I don't have to worry about getting up in the morning. Nowadays, folks like the two of you who have programs that are year round, your goal is to get children out, get them active. So I want to start by, before we get into the questions, I would like, and we don't always do this, but I think in this case it is important, just for each of you to share a little bit about the program that you do with the children that you work with. And so, Miss Burney, Sorry, Dr. Mosley, you know I'm going to go with the lady first. Miss
Ladies
Bernie,
first.
Well, me.
tell our viewers who have not heard about the Amistar Foundation. Let's tell them about it and sometimes some of the things that you're doing with those students.
Okay, I sure will. The I'm a Star Foundation was founded back in 2009 with the notion that every child is a star because every child is smart, talented, and resilient. And our mission is to get them to not only believe it, but to act upon it and to become leaders in their respective schools and communities. So, with I'm a Star, we started out with our leadership program. And Ms. Turner, as you know, we did a lot with you. You had a big, huge impact on our young people with regards to health. So we were working on childhood obesity, health issues in um, Duval County, and we also were looking at homelessness with students. We have now expanded, and we're doing a lot of Empower Me projects. So we're working on an Empower Me app, which young people will be able to use if they're experiencing mental health issues which occurred during the pandemic. We're working on our Empower Me toolkits, which Ms. Turner has come and helped us put together. But we've provided 1,000 toolkits to Duval County Public Schools for students. And we also have an Empower Me podcast and YouTube show that we're doing with our young people. We also, at I'm a Star, we have the Gear Up program where we have a contract with the district. We work with children starting in 7th grade, follow them through their sophomore year of college. And so we're getting ready to do our second round of that. We have team up programs now with after school, and we also have a STEM program that we work with.
Wonderful. And I tell you what, when I volunteered that one Saturday, I love my friends who will tell me you have to show up. All you have to do is say, Lorene husband had to do is say, I'm going to meet with Miss Bernie. That's all she needed to say, and all I did, and all I needed to know is you show up when Miss Bernie is with some students. And I tell you, those boxes that you all put together, unbelievable. And one of the questions which we'll delve into in a moment, I would like to give Dr. Mosley a chance to talk about his program as well. So I'm going to put a pin in that right now, Miss Bernie. Dr. Mosley, tell us about Bridge Builders United.
So Bridge Builders was founded in 2017 and was inspired by a lot of different experiences. Also learning a lot from what Miss Bernie did. She know I knew her from being in education, but I've worked with some of her kids, and I'm a star also as mentors. But we started mentoring young men. And we target young men from 9 to 16 years old. And so what we do is we build the foundation on manhood, academics, leadership, and excellence. And that's what we instill into the young men that we work with. And so we monitor them weekly. We mentor them weekly. We're their advocate. We help them develop a career and academic plan. We do a lot of different things with them to instill just about manhood and focusing on academics and being an excellent. And so one of the biggest things that we've done now, we created Camp Royal, which is rebuilding our youth as leaders. And we have 10 acres that we have developed into a youth retreat. And so monthly we take those young men out and we teach them about camping, building, setting up a tent, building a fire, gathering firewood, fishing, archery, a lot of the outdoor skills that, a lot of our kids in our community have never been exposed to. And so some of the other things we do with them, the last group we took, they learned how to change oil. So we do a lot of different things to try to instill, some of the characteristics of a man that they should know how to do. And so each time we take them out, they learn something new. So, and we've been very excited with that. And so we partner with the different diversion programs and the local organizations like Jewish Families and Daniel, and they refer youth to us all the time. And so we just love what we do, and we just continue to grow and gonna try to change one young man at a time.
So Dr. Mosley, I want to ask you, is your program, particularly that Camp Royal, that's oh man, that's awesome. I've never heard anything like that being offered for for our young people. So is that just a summer program, or is it year round, or how does that operate?
It's year round. The only time we don't go out is really probably July and December, but we do it once a month. The next one we're supposed to have coming up the end of this week in June, June 10th and 11th, but we're looking at weather because sometimes the weather will prevent that. So if it don't happen, we'll reschedule to another date in June.
So
But
you're actually staying overnight, Dr. Mosley,
yes,
or
they stay one night. We be there from a Saturday. Most of the time, it's a Saturday morning to Sunday. So the whole day is jam packed with them working. We put up a lot of videos, especially when they're learning how to cut wood. That wears them out, but they learn how to cut wood the right way and the purpose of why you have to have so much wood. They learn that at night. But yeah, it's an overnight event. They stay in the tent. They learn how to survive, and it's pretty interesting because when they get out there, they get very excited. Especially seeing the pond that we have out there, and it's just they're in nature. But it's very good because we have their undivided attention, so they don't run off. They can't run off anywhere. They follow our rules. And we just have a good time. But any kid, we have kids sometimes, the parents, they don't really want to go, or they're a little iffy. But once they get out there, every last kid that we've taken out there has had a great time. And so
I might need to go out there because I don't know how to quantitate how much wood I need for my gas fireplace.
no, Dr. Mosley, that is, oh my goodness, that is so awesome. And when you think about those skills that most kids are not familiar with, I remember years ago, I volunteered with the Jacksonville Urban League, and at the time we had what were called New Lights, the National Urban League's Incentive to Excel and Succeed. It was the Urban League's youth program. And we took some kids to the National Urban League Conference. Many of them had never left Jacksonville, not on a plane anyway. And OMG, they cut up when the plane took off. They screamed. I mean, they were just terrified. So I think we can't make the assumption that the experiences that we create for young people, that they have experienced those things before, and start thinking of unique things to do, outside of the going to play football, basketball, not knocking any of those things at all, but those non-traditional things. So let's talk about
unique and useful, Ms. Turner.
Absolutely.
Unique
Absolutely.
And something they can use down the road.
So is this the part where I should say when I went through my teen years and wanted to wear a necktie, and my stepfather taught me how to tie a necktie, but I digress. We won't talk about my years of wanting to wear neckties. So let's talk about tonight's subject, because I remember my best friend years ago, as I put her on the spot, I remember years ago, she talked about having boys. Dr. Mosley, as you work with boys, I know you do too, Miss Bernie, because I've worked with some of your students, as you mentioned. But she talked about how when her kids were youngsters, that when they got out for the summer and went back in the fall, that they were struggling catching up, right? And so one thing I'll never forget that she said she started doing is having them to read a book a week or however often she did. And she would read the book as well. So then she would have a conversation with her boys about it. Now, and if any of them are listening, they're going to like, oh Lord, Miss Johnson is talking about me. And so they're all fine young men today and just really doing great things. So Miss Bernie, let's talk about it a second. How do parents keep their kids and teens, not just little kids, but teens as well? How do they keep them engaged during the summer?
Well, you said the first thing, and that is parents need to make sure that their children, I don't care whatever age they are, that they're reading during the summer. Not only reading during the summer, but taking, working on some math courses or math problems, anything that they can even get on the internet. Because when they stay out for the summer, the one thing that I learned being on the Duval County School Board, that summer can equal a year. If a child is not reading, a child is not, catching up and doing certain things during the summer, they lose it. And when they get back to school, they start behind. One of the things that we're doing this summer is we have our summer camp for elementary kids. You know, we have Hyde Park, Cedar Hills, and San Jose. But this year, we're doing a summer camp for middle school students, because if you know now that middle school students are what I call the wonder years, they are just sometimes in a whole different space. A lot of things happen to them. We're working with them this summer, sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade, to help them to be prepared when they come back for the school year. And we're doing STEM. We're working with science, math, those kinds of things. Leadership is fun science, fun math, but it's math and science nonetheless, so that they can get it. And we would love for parents who have middle school students to contact us and enroll your children, because it's invaluable.
I'm glad you said that, Miss Bernie, because one of the things I would like for both of you to do, if you can put in our chat box, and then Tyrone, our behind the scenes technology guru, will put it online. Two things, how put your website, but one thing that we know that you can't do what you do get it through osmosis and by air. It takes money. So if anybody would like to donate to your programs, also include that in the chat box so that Tyrone can make our viewers aware of that. So Dr. Mosley, for the past several years, at least for 10 years, I organized a health summit for men and boys. And when I tell you, I have nephews, so I was accustomed to being around boys, but OMG, that was an experience. I found that working with young ladies versus young men is quite different. Not a bad thing, just different. So what do you find, particularly in your experience as an educator, what do you find that's different, that you need to do different in keeping young men engaged versus young ladies? Or is there a difference in your opinion?
I do think it is a difference. The young men, their mindset is faster. They want everything fast. They want money fast. They want to learn the quickest way to do anything. They want the easy way out. And so one of the things we have to teach them, even out there on we call it the ranch too, we teach them that everything has a process, even from setting up your own tent. You can't, if you've never done and never worked or never set up a tent before, you got to work with people. Y'all got to work together, and we tell them, if you don't have your tent set up, where you going to sleep? And so we just teach them that process and everything, even from fishing. Yeah, you can get out there and throw a fishing pole, throw a hook in the water and catch a fish. But what do you do next? So it's always a process. Everything takes time. And so we teach them that. And even with just teaching them about that everybody want a job, but we ask them, what kind of money you want to make, what you're going to do with your money. One of the things that I really been resonating about is a lot of, this is even on teenagers level. And I know Miss Bernie can agree with me, but if you ask from middle school and even high school, 10th, 11th graders, even probably some seniors, what is a good salary? What salary do you think you can live off of and be comfortable with? They don't know. And so one of my biggest things is you can't get a job until you know how to budget money. And you know what a budget is. Because at one point when I first started, I used to encourage the young men, you want a job? Okay, you get a job. But one thing that I found out was I helped them and taught them to get the job, but then they got distracted. And then everything else that they were trying to do, whether it was school or extra activities, they felt they didn't need that anymore because they were working. And so that's why I took a step back and said, okay, before I even mention try to help any young man get a job, they got to show me that they know how to do a budget, because they want everything fast. But that's it. You capture them about talking about the value of money. If you have money, what to do with it. I mean, those are the things that they want to hear. They don't care about nothing else.
That kind of, I'm finna date myself, obviously. But it does remind me of the episode of the Cosbys, if you guys remember, when Dr. Cosby, Bill was teaching Theo whom said he's got a job. He want to get a job and work and make this money. And he showed Theo through play money how much money he would actually have when it was all over and done. It was an excellent episode to watch, an excellent segment to watch. That if those kids can take time out, all you need is just that 5 minutes of that particular episode, and it really explained it well. But again, I'm digressing as well. So.
Well, let me tell you what I did. I'm sorry, Miss Brandon. One quick thing, because I won't remember. One thing that I did when I was a mentor, I actually brought my mentee over and a friend of mine with her daughter, and we played Monopoly. I wanted her to see how you have to save your money to buy a house. And what happens, the obstacles that get in your way on that Monopoly board, that you can lose that house, right? Mm-hmm. And I actually had a conversation with her about this is the process, because I was single, had my first home at the time, and just really talking to her, because she thought it was just so amazing that I was single and had my own home. And I just talked to her about how I had to do it. And just really, as you were talking, Dr. Mosley, it just reminded me just the practicality of, if you want things, you have to plan and know how to budget for those things. Go ahead, Miss Bernie.
I was going to say, Dr. Kane, you're really spot on, because I think it was last month, one of the young ladies in Amistar, her name is Demaya Dukes. She is on a crusade for her peers to understand how to save money and how to invest money. And one of our facilitators talked to her about that same segment that you're talking about, so that she could show it to the kids in Amistar. Because what I found out, and I don't know if you've seen this, Dr. Mosley, a lot of those kids have money. They buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. They don't know how
to Jordan.
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of money. I don't know. Parents are just doling it out.
Right.
But parents need to really look at trying to help them understand what money is. And one of the things that I like to mention is that starting next week, for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be teaching our kids about cryptocurrency and the digital wallet, so that they are not so left behind when that time comes. Because, sometimes our kids are always behind the 8 ball.
Yep.
This time, we want to make sure that they're in front of the 8 ball and they start learning. So, Dr. Mosley, if you want any of your young people to come and get some of that cryptocurrency information and digital wallet information, feel free.
I sure will.
And I was hoping you did just that, because Ms. Bernie, even though your kids are looking at some things differently sometimes, you still may find that one kid that fits very well into Dr. Mosley's program, and vice versa.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you guys to look at an interchangeable mechanism for kids, for your kids.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, Dr. Mosley, if I could send some of the young men to one of those trips, because every boy needs that.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no doubt. They always need that. I saw one of the questions they just asked about kids, say, why save money? Somebody posted that. So one of the things that I tell them is, because it's not about you just saving all your money, it's you learning how to save. How to save a portion and forget about it. That's one part that they don't really understand. You save 10% of your money, and then you can spend and get what you want. Because I know at a teenage age, you want to be able to show why you're working. And so I get that, but we want you to learn to save some money, because as you get older, you'll understand the purposes of that. And then we don't tell them to just save for no reason. We, like Miss Bernie, we tell them about investing. We tell them about multiple streams of income. Like I tell the young men all the time. We just had a conversation. The last group we took that night, we had them writing down plans. We had a young man wants to get into the trucking industry and has a mentor that owns a trucking company, and another young man, he wants to drive trucks. And so we connected and told them, look, y'all can have your own business resonating, and you can work for him, and y'all can make money. And so we just kept going on, and we were like, no, y'all gonna write this down, And I
Exactly.
think, and we're going to help you create a plan to show to your mentor, because you don't have to wait. And I think he's a 10th grader. We was like, you don't have to wait till your senior year to try to get this business going. I said, you can start your business and have it going before you even graduate. So that's the type of stuff we try to get them to think outside the box with.
Yes, and it's and we also have to give them whenever they start their business. So we had a young man, Aaron, who wanted to be a DJ. So everything we had, we let Aaron DJ. Even if we didn't need a DJ, we let Aaron DJ.
Right.
We had one who wanted to do event planning. So we let her plan the graduations and things like that. So when we seed into them,
That's right.
and give them what they need, they're going to be successful.
That's definitely.
So let's talk about, I want to switch up just a tad bit. This is great discussion, but we all know that COVID-19 and the pandemic, it has had a huge impact on so many of us. I attended the show with the Mann family the other night, and David Mann even talked about that, how, we all blame COVID on everything. But on a serious tip, a lot of young people were truly impacted mentally by COVID-19, particularly when they were doing virtual school.
Yes.
If a family has been impacted by COVID and just don't feel comfortable letting their children go out to summer camps and such for the summer, do you have any suggestions of things they could do for their or have their children do virtually, or even around the house, or whatever, in a safe environment?
I'll go first. Yes, the internet can be good and the internet can be bad. But the good parts of the internet is that you can go on YouTube and learn a skill. You can go on YouTube and learn so many things. Once they find out what their talent is, go on YouTube, find out how to do it, etc. One of my sons has a business where he does shoe restorations. And I asked him, where did you pick up all of that? And he said, believe it or not, a lot of it I picked up on YouTube and then just, expanded upon it. Right. But there are so many things that they can get if they would use the internet for the good that it has.
Right.
Wow,
And I agree. I agree, Ms. Bernie. Because even with my kids, during the summer, they already know I create a schedule for them. And so, number one, they have to read. They have to read at least an hour a day. I use one of these programs called Khan Academy.
Yes.
And so I create an account for them. My daughter's going to the 6th grade, so she's working on 6th grade work. And my son going to the 8th grade, and he's working and preparing for Algebra 1. So I have them do that online while they're home, but I also created a schedule for them. My son plays baseball and my daughter is in cheer. So they have to work out, work on their body. And also whatever the careers they're interested in, I tell them they need to go out on YouTube and research those careers that they may be interested in, but use the internet and use those tools for the better of them. I say you can learn a lot from social media and the internet when you find those people on there that's going to teach you. It's a lot of people teaching you a lot of good stuff. It's bad stuff too, but the internet, like Ms. Bernie said, it can be a very powerful and strong tool. And I even tell the kids, it is people out there making a lot of money off of it just from how many friends and how many likes they get. But you just have to choose what your angle is to get to that point, because a lot of kids, what we hear now, I want to be a YouTuber,
yes,
or I want to be a TikToker. And we be like, okay, so what is your unique skill? Because you can't do what everybody else do, or a gamer on YouTube where they have 1 million people that watch them play a video game. So, we tell them you have to find your niche, because you do have a gift, but you just have to find what that is. And then you could be one of those TikTokers or YouTubers, but you got to put that effort in.
And the beauty of that is making sure that it does not end temporarily because the school year ends. What you guys just described happening, you're doing it during the school year, but they got even more time to do it during the summer.
Right.
Exactly.
Parents have to emphasize that, that's what you can do on your off summer. Maybe you can get on that, do that, the whole YouTube thing, and learn that skill to be able to utilize and learn it more intensely, because you got your other schoolwork you're doing during the school year.
Right.
And that. But during the summer, when you have more free time, you can get even better at learning that skill or vocational related functions that these kids may be doing. And so that by the time the school year come back, maybe you might have a source of income
That's
that
right.
That's right.
you sell to your friends at school.
Mm-hmm.
I placed
So,
Khan Academy in the chat because Khan Academy is just, oh my gosh, that is one of the best programs for helping kids. It is excellent.
Is
Definitely.
it something you have to pay for, or is it free? Or I'm not familiar with it.
anybody else mute?
They have a free subscription, but you can subscribe for the other parts of it. But the initial, they have a free part. You can't hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear you. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you can subscribe, or there's a free portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if a parent, again with gasoline $5 a gallon practically, things are just so expensive now. Food is more expensive, as you know, everything is expensive. If someone's watching the show now and they said, all that sounds good that they're talking about, but I can't afford to send my child to a camp. I don't even have the internet. What are some resources that parents can tap into that they can still help to keep their children engaged during the summer?
I'm gonna have to find it, but I just found one that they're giving parents, long as the kids are in school, even if it's summer school, they can get a free hotspot to get access to the internet. But I'll find it and post it in there for that. Um, and also some other suggestions. If they hit the library, Wi-Fi is everywhere. So you go to the library or go to a lot of the bookstores. You take the kids out, and they can get access that way. If they don't have a laptop, I know there's a couple of different, and I'll post those in there too, that some of the agencies that's linked with DCPS, they offer very cheap laptops. I think some of them be as cheap as $25, $50.
Right.
So they can get access to a laptop. And a lot of the kids that I work with, if they come in, we try to sponsor when we can to go to the programs that cost, like if Miss Bernie has something and one of my kids was interested and she was charging, I do have some funds that I do try to sponsor some kids to go to those additional programs that we don't have. Also, like Teen Leaders of America with Miss Brown, I have a kid now that I'm sponsoring to go to one of her programs, summer programs at Sandalwood. So we try to extend and try to find other things for them to be able to be a part of. That don't cost anything to them.
And with Amistar, everything is free. We don't charge for anything. So the summer camp that I'm talking about, the camps, they're all free. They're free. But Dr. Mosley talked about the library and, just going to the bookstore, and sitting in. My sons used to think I was just the meanest mother in the whole wide world because they knew during the summer and even on Saturdays, we were going to the All Florida bookstore and buying a book, and we were going to be doing some things. And I tell them all the time, it made you who you are. But if they don't learn to read, and if they don't read, there's going to be some problems with them further down the road.
Amen. I lost my train of thought, and I can't remember what it was. Shucks.
Well, while you're at it, while you're trying to remember, what I can say is that both you guys have mentioned summer camp, and it's been brought up quite a bit. And we are in a time of COVID, so I just kind of want to make sure that we do think about how to keep the kids safe when they're meeting in these the large groups, such as summer camps, and want to make sure the parents remember to have their children mask up and be very confident in how they're wearing their mask. Also, because of the that hopefully most are vaccinated.
Yes.
And that's a very, very important part of it. But if they're not vaccinated, to teach them how to always wear their mask when in contact with these kids, and hopefully with other kids. Hopefully they participate, especially if they're not vaccinated, participate in outdoor programs that would allow them to be able to interchange. So things like baseball and softball and stuff of that nature, sports where you don't have that close of an activity, and so on and so on. That when they go to those summer camps, at least think about those things in terms of how to keep their kids from getting COVID. And if they have kids who are high risk, meaning some type of asthma, immune deficiency, and stuff of that nature, that getting COVID can put them at high risk for higher for more sick, becoming more sick than someone who's not as high risk, that those kids in particularly uh, do the if they're not vaccinated, participate in the kind of sports activities we talked about. Have them make sure you pack supplies with hand wipes, and I want to
Mhm.
make sure I get through that part. Pack their supplies, their lunches, and do the other various things that will keep them safe. That we particularly learned in those earlier years of COVID that we really, really cognizant of. Walking we were walking into hotel rooms when we did have to go to some, wiping down everything. You don't have to get quite that bad right now, but at least, yeah, at least keeping their hand wash, hand sanitizers, things of that nature. That if they do go on trips, hopefully they're short trips. Hopefully the parents can take them on the trips themselves instead of getting in crowded buses. If unless that becomes necessary, like with Mr. Mosley, you're taking your guys on trips. So when they're on those buses, everybody needs to be masked up.
Yes.
Everybody needs to have KN95 masks and not those surgical masks. And
Mm-hmm.
preferably KN95s, which still allow a little breathing room than the N95s that I have to wear at times interacting with patients. And instead of those blue or yellow or black surgical masks, and or the cloth mask. So,
Mhm.
and there's an abundance of KN95 masks out there now that they can go to Amazon or buy, get very good buys on them. And so the parents do something along that line, pack, and again, pack extra supplies and learn to storage some things in plastic bags as best they can, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Kane. That's very
Yes.
important that we do remember that. I know, the joke is I multitask, and one of the programs I work with, of course, the main one I work with is really trying to dispel myths in our communities about COVID and also about the vaccine so that people can become more informed as they make decisions to get vaccinated. So definitely do your homework. And one thing, with educators on tonight, they can tell you, I love when Dr. Mosley and Miss Bernie mentioned the library, because that's where you go and get factual information about stuff. A lot of
Mhm.
the things, people don't even open up books anymore, Miss Bernie. They just want to go to the website
Mhm.
and learn everything. I love that you both mentioned, the very useful. We're paying for libraries to be in our communities, right? I know when I brought my first home and I started looking at all the things, I was like, oh, I pay for the library. I didn't know that. I'm ignorant. I'm young, right? And I started seeing all the different taxes and things like that. So it is a great resource. And one thing I also like to always give a plug for, we all live in Florida. Try to visit a place where most of our viewers live in Florida. Try to visit places that are in your community. Find a new lake, a new park, a zoo, places that you can really talk about and create an experience through a different lens for your children, not
Mhm.
just go somewhere where, and I don't knock amusement parks and all of that, but, really get into nature and help them, understand the importance. I like when one of you mentioned about STEM. I think that was you, Miss Bernie. You mentioned
Mhm.
about STEM, just like Dr. Mosley does, taking youth out on, to, 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 um,
Trips.
on trips and stuff, right? To pitch a tent and stuff like that. Those are just basic things that they do. But I would like to switch a second. I know Dr. Mosley, you mentioned, but Miss Bernie, I didn't recall that you mentioned how young are your students in your program. But I would like to ask both of you. We kind of talked a lot about what older students can do. But what about elementary age children? How do you keep them engaged during the summer?
Go ahead, Ms. Brenda.
Okay. For I'm a Star, we do have summer camps. We have team up camps at 3 schools and take them to the places that you're talking about in Florida, etc. But I think the same thing holds with young kids. I'm in Ohio right now visiting my sons, and I take my little grandson who is almost 2. I have been taking him for a walk every day. Feel the trees, feel the leaves. This is a car. This is a that. Those kinds of things. There's so much that they can learn, even just walking down the street. Parents and kids just walking in the neighborhood or going to the park and things like that. But again, I stress elementary kids, they need to learn how to be ahead when they get ready to go back to school that next school year.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that we talked about on a previous show is that, and you can always botch it up. So if somebody want to correct me, just about how a lot of people predict the future of children at 3rd grade.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
And the significance of that, they know how many prisons to build based on what's happening with children at 3rd grade. I just think that is just so awful, right? Why don't we change that whole just philosophy or that thing that's out there and make something more positive to stand out about being in 3rd grade? Dr. Mosley, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, so and it's so true. But one of the things we're doing, we are actually transitioning to working with younger youth. We plan on partnering with a couple of elementary schools on some things that we are putting in place to start in August. But I can say the younger kids, again, I got to go back to this last group. We had 10 kids. The youngest was a 4th grader, Joe. Joe is my friend. When I tell you Joe, out of the 10 kids we had, Joe showed the most leadership out there. Joe wanted to be so involved. Joe wanted to participate. He wanted to learn. He wanted to, it wasn't nothing Joe was afraid of. And so it only validated the fact that we do want to get more kids out. So one of the things that we're going to implement over the summer is we're going to gather some younger elementary kids, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and we're going to do some day trips out there to kind of start for them to get a feel for it, and then gradually put them through the overnight process. But we know that the younger we get them, the more we capture them for one. But we know we can instill more with them, and plus we'll be there longer with them because we don't have a cutoff on how long we work with you. So if we get them younger and we have them to 12th grade, that's going to speak leaps and bounds on what we can instill in them over that time frame. So
I want to remind parents that they are parents.
Yeah.
Right.
It is not the bridge builders, and it is not Amistar's job to substitute as parents. And that parents need to go out and be participatory in their kids with their kids on different things to do. These are additives to what you can do and teach your child. And so I want, it's going to remind parents, it will take a lot of efforts from the parents and their guidance to help lead them in the right direction. But these programs help assist the parents in assisting their kids in going and finding things that they can do and leading them in the right direction.
And Jocelyn, you said when you talked about 3rd grade, the reality is from kindergarten through 3rd grade, they learn to read. 4th grade on, they should be able to read to learn.
That's right.
And if they are not at that process, if they are not able to comprehend, if they are not able to do those things, then they find themselves getting further and further behind. Amistar works with the Bridge to Success program, where a lot of those young people, as Mr. Mosley knows, a lot of them may be 13, but they may be in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
Because of that same concept. So what Dr. Kane said ties in. Parents, we need you also making sure that they get what they need for reading, and going to the schools, letting them know that you are involved with your child, because fourth grade is critical. Third grade is very critical, but fourth grade, the writing, the reading, all of that stuff, it's all on them then.
Yeah, and parents, don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed on what you don't know or what your kids don't know, because that's the whole purpose of the school system, is to teach. I think sometimes it'd be pride that the parent don't want to, maybe because they don't know. But the whole purpose, the school system is for you. It's for the kids. It's for the parents. We are servant leaders and supporters and educators for the community. So if it's something you don't know, you should be able to go to your closest school and get resources and support to learn or get the services that you need from any school in Duval County Public School System, or charter school or private school.
Let me make sure people recognize, Mr. Dr. Mosley, that when you say we, you're speaking you're speaking in the public school system, because what we did not discuss in this broadcast is that you are also a worker in the public school system. We talk about bridge builders, but many people don't know that you are.
That's true.
You're out in the boom. I don't want to say boom. You're out in the
trenches.
Yes. Yeah. You're out there working with kids on both aspects, privately in terms of bridge builders, but you're also playing a very significant and very participatory role in the school system.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I just want to make sure that all parents know it is a free resource of information at any school, and they will not turn you away. And I know a lot of times, especially younger parents that have younger kids at elementary schools, use those resources. Say, I need help, because that's what they're there for. You will be surprised I know for a fact, you'll be surprised at some schools, they're going to go above and beyond to help you outside of the resources that's already there. So go get that help. If you feel your child is struggling and they need more academic support, ask the schools, because somebody there, I promise you, it's a teacher that probably won't have a problem tutoring that kid after school. So it's just use the resources. That's all I can say, is use the resources.
Because as Jocelyn said, you're paying for them.
Exactly.
You are paying for them one way or the other. That's right. Your taxes are paying.
One thing
how do you feel about paying for electricity and you can't light up your own house?
Exactly.
One thing that we've been talking about in the past is, growing gardens. So as parents think about unique and creative things they could do, they can always start a garden. And if they live in an apartment and don't have the space, or I'm a proponent of testing your soil if you want to, before you go and plant stuff in your backyard, because you don't know what contaminants may be in it. So to avoid that, you can always use containers to grow things. And children will get so fascinated as they start seeing things that they're watering and how they're grown. So just imagine what you can do over the summer. And it also teaches them to eat more fruits and vegetables, something that all of us struggle with, making sure that we eat every day. Another point I'd like to make for folks like me who don't have children is to know that we're still a valuable resource. Although we may not have any biological children, when Dr. Mosley put in the chat and talked about the fact that some children don't have laptops, we can donate to these programs and help purchase those laptops for those children who may lack not only laptops, but other resources that they may need, so that educators like these, Miss Bernie, we didn't talk about her previous experience. Again, I like our educators. Y'all just don't stop just staying in the classroom. Miss Bernie, when she retired, she became a school board member, started the Amistar Foundation. Dr. Mosley, teacher, principal. I love educators, because one thing that we all have to remember is that all of us went to school at some point and we learned phonics, ABCs, counting that money that we also love. And we have to give credit to educators. A couple of things that were placed in the chat: starsandstrikes.com for free bowling during the summer. And for laptops, you can go to dcps.duvalschools.org/laptop for some information. So do your homework. If in doubt, not knowing where to go, I also have learned a lot from librarians. When I've gone to the library and wasn't sure how to access, you just ask one of those librarians, and they also would help you to go online, access some resources, or even find some resources within some books about different things in school. I like my niece, I was telling her, I have to tell you two quick stories. When she got a job, and she wasn't making a lot of money. I'm not going to talk about the place where she worked, but they didn't pay a lot of money. And excuse me, she earned most of her money on tips. Well, if people aren't giving tips, then you know how much money she didn't earn. So what I did to try to encourage her to get a different job, or just think of a different career option, not knocking anybody from any industry. I told her to write down, Dr. Mosley, when you talked about a budget, write down all the things that you enjoy doing. You like to go get your nails done sometimes, your hair. You like to buy cute clothes from.
Not Dr. Mosley. You mean your niece, not Dr. Mosley.
No, I'm saying the budget in Dr. Mosley. You know what I mean. Leave me alone, Dr. Kane. And you let them see you like to go to the movies, you like to go to different restaurants. Well, just add all this stuff up. Now let's compare that, Dr. Mosley, in a budget. Hint, hint. And with the amount of money you're bringing home, right? And so what that just does, in my opinion, it helps those students to really look different. But I don't want to get away from the fact that we wanted to talk about how to keep your children engaged during the summer. We have 5 minutes left in the show, and I do want to give you both a chance to really talk about some things that maybe we didn't talk about. Miss Bernie, you look like you're just dying to say something, so get it out. Now's your time.
One of the things that I found out, and I'm sure Dr. Mosley already knew it, but I didn't know it until I got a call from the district stating that in each school in Duval County, there is a physician now, a physician or physician's assistant, and students can go in, they can be seen, they don't have to have insurance. There's a whole program out there that some people are taking advantage of, but people who look like me are not truly taking advantage of it, primarily because they did not know. And so one of the things that I would like for parents to do is to even just call your school and ask about this new program, or either just call the district, this new program where your child can be seen by a certified doctor or physician's assistant for illness,
or nurse practitioner,
for things of that nature, because here again, you're paying for it. You're paying for it.
Yeah, so some schools, even like I'm at the alternative school, we have what they call a health aide. And basically she does that. She's that go-to person between the student, the parent, and connecting them. I think they do telehealth. So if a kid is ill or have any illnesses or is not feeling well, they'll go through the health aide, and the health aide will assess and then determine, if a telehealth call needs to be made. But yeah, that is definitely an awesome resource that the district provides. And again, like I said, Ms. Barney, we'll say it over and over again, there's a lot of resources in every school, so please just go to the schools. Every school has a parent resource center. Use it. That's the purpose of it. Every single school has a parent resource center. And that includes if you need to go use a computer, if you need to get, anything that you need, they have it. And they purchase stuff for that resource center every year. So even stuff with learning how to raise your child, learning how to feed your child better, all of those information, they have it there. They even have, most schools probably even have games that you can lease out to take home and play with your kids. So go to the schools and see what they have to offer. I can't say that enough.
One thing I'd also like to give a plug for is for those of us who live in Florida where there's large bodies of water, Also, make sure you identify resources to help your children learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Far too many children drown as they're out in, in pools and the beach and lakes and things like that. So please, parents, even if you don't know how to swim, make sure you connect your children to places, and also get to know your parks. There are some parks that may not have all the resources that you would like, but go to those regional parks that may have some play areas. So take advantage of free stuff. You don't always have to go to places. And Ms. Bernie talked about the Amistar program that's free. Dr. Mosley has a wonderful program for young men. So I think, again, you just got to do your homework. If you don't know where to start, the YMCA, you don't know where to start, ask other parents. You see other parents who have children who are very engaged. The one thing that I like that Dr. Mosley said, and Ms. Bernie, put away the pride. Make sure that you are looking for what's best for your children. jacksforkids.com. I remember that they also have, I know before the pandemic, they used to print this awesome publication that listed all sorts of activities for youth. And Dr. Kane, we always say that if it's not in your neighborhood, pick up the phone and call your city council person and start advocating for things that you think are missing in your neighborhood. Why do they have a swimming pool in such and such neighborhood and we don't have one in ours? Why does our park not have X, Y, and Z? Why do we not have, Miss Bernie, when we had this conversation some years ago, why do I live in a neighborhood that don't have sidewalks?
Mhm.
Why do the little kids have to walk in the street? We want to, so learn how to start advocating also for those things, those resources that may not be available in your neighborhood. We're at 7:30. This has been a great conversation. One thing that we always like to do is share some final thoughts. So I'm going to do the reverse this time, Ms. Bernie. I know we like to, we like to speak first, but Dr. Mosley, I'm going to ask you for your final thoughts to share with parents of how to keep their children and teenagers engaged during the summer.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. The biggest thing that I want to say to the parents is to use your resources, keep your kids busy, know what they're doing, know their friends, know who they hang with, and be mindful of that. If you know you have a stronger intuition than your kids, if you know your kids are hanging around with kids that get in trouble, you need to vet them, talk to their parents, figure them out, to explain to your kids why they shouldn't hang with them. But those are some very important things, especially over the summer. Know where your kids are at all times. Trust the people that you have your kids with when they're not with you. But to keep them busy, especially young kids, like Miss Bernie said, take them outside, take them for a walk, go to the park, to go to the beach, let them get those experiences. And I know a lot of parents they work long hours and things of that nature, but make sure you find someone that you can instill, just like any other time. You have them people that you can trust your kids with. Tell them, hey, take my kid outside, let them play, get them off that video game. Don't let them play video games all summer, because they're not learning anything. Their brain is not learning anything. There's no functioning going on other than them using the controller to maneuver through a screen. But get them outside, fresh air. Let them do positive things on the YouTube. There's a lot of different free online programs that actually through Duval County that they still have access to with their login. So they can still do that. Make sure you check their grades, because some may have to go to summer school that start on June 13th.
Mhm.
So all of that stuff you need to know. You should be getting phone calls, check your messages, all of that, because there's a lot of things out here. We have to keep our kids busy. If you don't keep them busy and you're working and they're home, 9 times out of 10, they're going to get into something and you won't find out about it until it's too late. So keep them busy, keep them involved in anything that you can think of. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to me, bbujacks.org, and I can provide whatever resources I have to get. I promise you, I'll keep your child busy. So just reach out to me at bbujacks.org, Bridge Builders United.
Thank you, Dr. Mosley. Miss Bernie.
Dr. Mosley, I'm so proud of you. Yes, I mean everything he said. Everything he said. I don't even have to say it again. He said it all. There's a parent academy at Duval County Public Schools. Find out the kinds of classes that you can take. They're free, so that you can do that. And my other thing is there may be aunties and uncles and people who don't have children right now, and you may say, well, I don't have to worry about what they're doing during the summer. But the late James Baldwin said, for these are all our children, and we will either pay for or profit by what they become.
Yes, ma'am.
So whether you have some or not, they are ours, and we have got to find ways to help parents help their children.
Yes.
Let the church say amen.
Amen.
Dr. Kane, thank you, Dr. Mosley and Ms. Burney. This is a very engaging conversation. Dr. Kane, what are your final thoughts for tonight's show?
Well, the change, not a whole lot other than from a health standpoint. For those who have their kids are eligible for vaccination, please get them vaccinated. Not only just for the summer, but it'll also carry them through the school year. Get them the chance to see their physicians over the summer, those that have not seen them, and especially so they can make sure that their health is, that they are in good health, or if they need something to attend to their health, that they will receive it over the summer. And during school, utilize those resources that Ms. Burney spoke to as it relates to for medical personnel being available to your kids, whether it's not, one in person or telehealth, because that can be a very important resource for parents to at least see what's going on with their kids and seek assistance from any health, whether it's physical or mental issues that may be affecting their kids.
Thank you, Dr. Kane, Ms. Burney, Dr. Mosley. I think the biggest thing that I've learned tonight is that we have some wonderful educators in our community. Not only do they care about their own children, but they care about all children in the county. These folks work hard. They work tirelessly to come up with creative activities for your children. Let's support them in the work that they do. Go online and look for Amistar as well as Bridge Builders United. Is it .org? Also,
BBUJax.org.
Don't let them forget they can come to our website, Ms. Turner, and see some of these things.
Absolutely, because again, these folks are, we don't want them to have to take out of their own pockets, and because that's taking away money from their own families. So no donation is too small. $25, as was mentioned, that you could potentially help a young person get a laptop, for example. So please give, support, volunteer. Go on their website, see if there are any opportunities for you to volunteer for some of these activities. Come in and be a speaker, talk about your profession, to expose these young people to professions that they may not have thought about. As Dr. Kane said, make sure that you and your children are vaccinated, because despite, I posted online the other day, in spite of what was recently said that everybody has had COVID, that's not true. Only 60%, I say only because it could have been higher, only 60% of the US population has had COVID-19. That means that 40% hasn't. They've listened to scientists and not politicians. And so if you don't want to get sick, people are still getting very sick from COVID. It does not discriminate. Please get vaccinated. Stay tuned next week as we continue the discussion of what you care about, what we think that you might be interested in. And always, please share any podcast topic ideas. We will identify the speakers. If you are a viewer and you have something to share that innovative that you're doing in the community to enhance our community and our families, please send us an email at info@pauseforthetruth.com. As always, thank you to our guests and have a good evening.
Good evening.
Night.
Bye-bye. Dr. Mosley, I just sent you some money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess I have to follow suit.
Thank you for what you're doing.